What's up guys, Peter McKinnon here, and welcome to another episode of 2 Minute Tuesday. I think that was a pretty good impersonation. What's up guys, hope you're all doing well. Welcome to another video. Now, a lot of people have been trying to get that Peter McKinnon B-roll look, but not many people know how to do it. So in today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to get that epic Peter McKinnon looking B-roll.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome aboard, Captain speaking. We're going to get you out here just as soon as possible.
Now, before starting off, I want to mention that I do not condone copying other artists because it deprives you of your uniqueness and authenticity. But for the sake of learning, I'm going to teach you guys how to do it. So there's a few elements why his B-roll looks different than everybody else's. And we're going to look at all of these elements separately one by one. So starting off with color, you probably can notice that his thumbnails are always popping out, standing out from all the other thumbnails in your feed. And that is because of color contrast and depth. We spoke about this in an earlier video. You can check it out. I'll leave a link in the description below. But what he uses is a lot of color contrast. His subject is always standing out and popping from the background through color contrast. So for example, his subject's wearing black, the background's white, so it stands out from the background like we mentioned in a previous video. So that is one of the most important elements that you could realize in his videos. It doesn't have to be black and white, it could be red and blue. It's two complementary colors that you just have to make sure that your subject's popping and standing out from your background, and that's what gives it that punchy feel. So as far as color goes, he mentioned in his videos that he uses his own custom LUTs that he made himself. You could buy it from his website, but once again, I do not condone buying other people's presets and LUTs unless it's for learning purposes, of course. So he uses one specific one called Kodak Killer. He uses that very frequently, he said, and yeah, that's as far as color goes. Now that we got one of the most important elements out of the way, which is color, let's look at the second one, which is slow motion. If you realize, he uses a lot of slow motion in his B-roll along with speed ramping. And a slow motion isn't simply 60 frames per second, but from what I can see, it's probably 100 to 120 frames a second, slowed down all the way to 24 or 25, and that gives that really nice, smooth, crisp slow motion that we spoke about in a previous video as well. Another thing you may realize is the speed ramping. He's always speed ramping. Not always, but for the most part, he's speed ramping in his B-roll segments to give it that nice dynamic feel, and it's not always so slow and boring. It's not slow paced, so there's like slow elements and then it speeds up and then slow. So it really keeps it interesting, and it's just not slow throughout the entire B-roll segment. And I believe that really adds an element of interest and keeps the audience engaged throughout the B-roll segment. Now, the other element I like to talk about is a little less obvious to the audience. Not everybody may realize it, but it is there. And that is the element of storytelling. If you realize his B-roll always complements his main story. It's not just a bunch of random clips stacked together in slow motion to make it look dramatic. It actually supplements his main video. And that's what B-roll actually is. I think we get caught up in B-roll and not forgetting what B-roll actually is. What B-roll is supplementary video that complements or continues telling the story of your main video. So it shouldn't just be a bunch of random clips stacked together, make it look dramatic, make it look cool, but it should actually have a meaning and add value to your main video. And I think that's something most of us are forgetting, but he isn't, and that's what makes his videos look a lot more interesting and engaging. It's something less obvious like I mentioned, but I think it's one of the most important elements in his videos that we don't really realize as much. So aside from the storytelling part, the B-roll itself is interesting. He's always doing something where you're just watching and you're thinking, oh, I want to know what's going to happen next. Oh, that's pretty cool. And even if it's not interesting, make it look interesting. And that is how you can keep your audience engaged and make the B-roll really look fascinating and more eye-catching. So now that we got all of that out the way, I believe the most important aspect, well, I've been saying that the whole video pretty much because I think they're all important, but it's the music choice he picks. So if you realize, He really picks a upbeat, uplifting kind of music to go with his videos, and I think that is one of, if not the most unique aspect in his videos and his B-roll. I think you can all agree because it's pretty obvious. His music choice is really not too fast-paced, but not slow either. It's right in between, and it's really upbeat and uplifting. And when he combines this with slow motion video, it kind of gives it that really unique feel, because when people shoot slow motion, they tend to put a slow song with it, and that gets really slow and boring. But he puts slow motion video along with kind of a faster paced song, and that really makes the B-roll look more interesting. So if you could look at this, if we take the same segment of B-roll and just switch out the song for something more slow paced, you can see what a huge difference it is. Now you can see just by switching the same B-roll segment from a slow-paced song to a fast-paced song, what a huge drastic difference it makes, and it really adds a lot of interest and engagement to the video itself. So once again, music is a really important element in his B-roll videos and pretty much in every video. I think it's a really important element, so you should focus on your songs just as much as you would while filming, because if you film an epic scene, everything's amazing, and the song choice is just off, it's really gonna throw out your video and it's not gonna look that great. So yeah, that's about it for this video, guys. Hope you learned something, and go out, shoot some epic Peter McKinnon or your own B-roll. Hope you learned something, hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, give the video a thumbs up. If you have any video requests, leave them in the comment section below. Once again, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.